word was out on Madonna. And this girl is hungry to be a star, and she will do anything.
The vibe that I got early on from Madonna, as I began to see how she began to do her thing and how she began to date different guys in my crew, so to speak, was that she was kind of doing it like a guy does it.
It's not this man or this woman has something that I want. It's this person has something that I want. Therefore, I am going to use the only thing I have to barter for that, and that's me.
In July of 1978, so the story goes, Madonna Louise Ciccone landed in New York City with only $37, a winter coat and a suitcase to her name. She hailed a cab and told the driver, "Take me to the centre of everything." This is the story of a girl who in just 6 years honed the pursuit of stardom into an art form. She could have found fame as a ballet dancer or even as a mainstream rock chick, but her instincts were always her best asset. At various points she was broke, homeless or frustrated, but got the last laugh when, by the time she left New York, she was the hottest act in the world. It was an exciting time for a 19-year-old to hit town. The city itself was on the verge of bankruptcy. Respectable families had moved to the suburbs, and a new generation of aspiring artists had colonised the abandoned industrial buildings downtown. The music scene too was in a state of flux as punk clashed with the last days of disco. Studio 54 was staggering towards an inglorious end, and a sweaty den called CBGB's now took centre stage as the city's creative powerhouse. Punk rock was the stimulus for everything that was vital and new, and at the vanguard of the new wave were bands like the Ramones, Talking Heads, Richard Hell and Blondie.
The great thing about that time, I think, was that you could be a musician or a writer or an artist full-time in New York at that time because it was cheap enough. You could have an apartment that cost $90 a month.
There was definitely a response to you know, this boredom that we had in New York that, you know, came out of that whole disco thing, and punk was, you know, the foundation of just like, fuck everything, you know, break down the barriers and do what you want to do.
But Madonna arrived in town dreaming of a very different kind of dance floor. She'd left university to take up a precious scholarship with Pearl Lang at the American Dance Center.
I was fond of her for her arrogance and for her energy and for her spunk, for her, nothing fazed her. She was going to do something and nothing was going to get in her way. And I find that quite alarming and quite wonderful.
Pearl Lang in America was sort of the heir apparent to Martha Graham, who was a very, very big legendary icon of American dance. Madonna, according to Pearl Lang, was her star dancer of that period. And she was exposed at Spoleto, which is almost the World Series of dance, a very big, big thing.
Her behavior with the other dancers was kind of funky, though. It was that period where they wanted to be as unusual and as messy as they could be. And it didn't bother me because once she started to work, she was quite wonderful.
Madonna threw herself into her work, but she was lonely during her early weeks in New York and felt like a small fish in a very big pond. But she soon found a soulmate.
We used to walk around a lot and just go places and hang out, or, you know, hang out at my place, listen to music, make out. Used to go to Riverside Church, which is, again, up around Grant's Tomb area, where it's really beautiful and amazing energy up there. She was just a very open, natural, physical, sensuous person. And sexually, she was uninhibited, but I always had a sense of her as this elemental being. I sort of refer to certain people as elementals that are sort of you know, not, they're made of light or something.
Madonna's relationship with Norriss only lasted a few months until she began dating his friend, musician Dan Gilroy.
We went to a place called Hurrah up on the west side on a Tuesday night when it was empty. I was kind of a beats-oriented dancer, you know, but she was like, you know, twirling around, and leg around her neck, and, you know, then spinning and all that. So it was a little frightening to be in the middle of a dance floor with no one else there, and she's kind of working the floor very nicely, and I was kind of in my place.
Meeting Dan was to be a turning point in her life.
I taught Madonna everything she knows. No, you know what I did? I took a guitar, I tuned it to an open E. You know how you do that? You just, you know how you put your fingers on the guitar to make a chord? Well, you can tune the guitar so that you can just strum it open and it plays a nice E chord, which enabled her to put her finger, so jinka, 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 jinka. In fact, her first song she wrote was with those two little chords. It was again and again, over and over, again and again, over and over, which, you know, it was a nice little pop song.
Madonna soon realised that she wanted more from life than ballet could offer.
One day she said, you know, this dancing is difficult. I said, of course it's difficult. And you know, she said, I have pains in my back sometimes. I said, well, everybody has pains. It comes with the territory. I think I'm going to try to be a rock singer.
Boyfriend Dan was playing in a new wave band, and he found Madonna eager to learn.
She left, and I never saw her after that.
Typically, Madonna threw herself headlong into this new venture. Like ballet before it, it had to be all or nothing.
She always seemed to be wanting to let's get moving, let's get to some next step. So the instruments were a way to at least, you know, get it all moving.